10 years after his death, the memories and rumors live on. Tonight on PM Magazine, Priscilla Presley fights the claims that Elvis had other children.
I don't know where they get the stories from. You know, I wish there was some way that we can have our chance and fight back.
And we'll relive the great Connecticut River Raft Race. The prize doesn't always go to the swiftest.
This is Story Hour at the Simsbury Public Library, and the reason we're here tonight is to talk about the enjoyment of reading. And welcome tonight to PM Magazine. I'm Tim Klein.
And I'm Deborah Kent. One thing we were all reading and hearing and seeing about last month was the 10th anniversary of Elvis Presley's death. Now, in the middle of all that mass hysteria, we're caught once again, his ex-wife Priscilla Presley and his daughter Lisa Marie.
Well, tonight on PM Magazine, our own Marilyn Beck talks about Priscilla's life after Elvis.
Jenna, I'm trying to adjust to the fact that you're going to have Bobby's baby. Oh, really?
The story revolves around a multi-million-dollar family fortune, rumors of cult membership, and a child out of wedlock. But it isn't the plot of Dallas, it's Priscilla Presley's life. The ex-wife of Elvis, the king of rock and roll, is building her life around her 7-month-old son, Navarone, and her unmarried lover of 3 years, Marco Garibaldi. Why aren't you getting married?
Well, I'm engaged. It's
Right.
just picking the right time and doing it right and doing it the way we want to do it.
Baby was planned.
Mhm.
There's certainly a commitment between you and...
Oh, yes, absolutely. I have no doubts that I will be with him all my life.
You said when you gave a press conference
Mhm.
with Lisa Marie and Marco there that you didn't want anything to ruin the relationship, or the relationship was so good the way it was.
Right. It's true, and that's what I'm saying. I'm very committed to this man, and I'm almost afraid that that piece of paper will ruin what I have. And Lisa feels the same way, so I don't know yet. I don't know how it's going to be done.
Whenever Priscilla and Marco's marriage happens, it will never match the notoriety of her first wedding on May 1st, 1967. Nor will young Navarone's life be scrutinized the way Lisa Marie Presley's has been. Elvis adored and pampered his only child. He was so proud of her that his tombstone reads in part, "Father of Lisa Marie." In 6 years, at age 25, Lisa Marie, as his sole heir, inherits his vast fortune. Forbes magazine said that Lisa Marie will be one of the 400 richest people in the United States when she comes into her inheritance. That has to be a very heavy responsibility for you to prepare her for that.
It is. I don't know if she'll be, I mean, it's 400. I'm glad it's 400 because at one time they said she will be the richest. And I'm going, she's got quite a shot coming.
Sure feel for her.
Exactly. It's not going to be that. But I'm one of the executors to the estate, and we as executors are really building this up for her.
What about concern that a boy might be interested in her because of what she has rather than who she has?
Well, I think it's all of our concerns. When you're in the public eye, we all have that
true.
concern. I have that concern, too. And the first thing that enters your mind is, I hope this is real. I hope, you know, that this person does care for me, for who I am and what I am as a person, and not have that stigma there, you know, about what you have. So that is a basic concern, and that's my concern, and I probably always will be that protective toward her when she does meet the man. But she's very perceptive, and so am I, and I'm quite still protective over her in that sense.
Priscilla and Elvis's divorce was amicable, and Lisa Marie spent several weeks a year with her dad. She was 9 years old and visiting Graceland when her father died. Now 19, she's living on her own, quite different from her mother, who started dating Elvis at age 15 and who moved into Graceland 5 years before their wedding. Do you tell her, don't marry young?
I do. I look back and I go, my God, there's so many things that I wish, as we all do, I wish I knew then. And getting married early, committing yourself, settling down, I think it's great and wonderful if you're ready and prepared to do it and this is what you really want.
Priscilla left Elvis when Lisa was 4 years old. During the following years, Lisa often attended boarding school while Priscilla established her career. Priscilla admits that the two have had their share of rocky moments, But she denies reports that Lisa rebelled and joined a cult to whom she handed over her fortune.
Which was a shock to read about yourself, saying your daughter's not getting along, you know, and which we have a wonderful relationship. And to read that about yourself was quite a shock, too.
And then reports about that she was giving away her vast fortune, too.
Which is ridiculous because, you know, she's not even, you know, entitled to that until she's 25. So that was, you know, incredible when you read that. You're talking about to religious sects and to,
right.
Yes, well, we're Scientologists, but in no way has that ever occurred and will that ever happen.
Even more disturbing to Priscilla and Lisa are the stories that surround Elvis with claims of illegitimate children. 10 years after his death, the hysteria and claims grow.
I feel it's an injustice. Our faces have been on the cover of the tabloids, and there's been articles written that are so untrue and so unfair, and it's just an injustice. I don't know where they get the stories from. You know, I wish there was some way that we can have our chance and fight back, but then again, it just makes the story bigger.
In the 15 years since she left Elvis, Priscilla has slowly built a life on her own. Her new marriage seems imminent, and her acting career continues to flourish. But whatever changes come, to some people, she'll always be the First Lady of Graceland.
In 1985, Priscilla wrote the bestseller Elvis and Me, and next year she plans on producing a miniseries based on that book.
Well, books are the focus of the current Channel 3 for Kids' Sake project. We're trying to encourage kids to develop a love of reading. And how you can do that is explained better than we ever could in a special that's being hosted by Meredith Baxter and David Burney.
It's a one-hour show called Drop Everything and Read, which airs this coming Friday right after PM Magazine at 8 p.m. Make it a family affair.
Well, next up on this program, we'll meet a woman who calls the wild African elephants her best friends. Boy, has the biography section of the library changed, but not too much. You'll still find the exploits of Genghis Khan and Queen Elizabeth here. Forget Raiders of the Lost Ark, kids. This is where you find the true tales of adventure. And someday, the life of the woman we're about to meet will find its way to these shelves. She's been spending most of that life out in the wilds of Africa, so she can better understand the elephants by learning their language.
There's Johnny in the front there with the tusk about 7 inches long, and that's Joyce's son. Joyce is rubbing up against him now. Jolene wants to play. That's a play face. Here she comes. Hello, Jolene.
From the wrinkles on her trunk to her thickly curled eyelashes, Jolene is different from every other wild elephant in Africa's Amboseli National Park. Telling the animals apart would be impossible for most people, but not Joyce Poole. She knows each of these gentle giants by face and name, all 680 of them.
And over there's Ernie.
Besides playing matriarch to a group of the world's largest land mammals, Joyce is a scientist. She and her colleagues are among the world's foremost elephant researchers. She's studying the behavior of African elephants in the wild as part of her postdoctoral studies through Princeton University.
I came to Amboseli first in 1963 and was charged by an elephant. Then I can remember it very clearly. And so it seems very funny that I'm back here. I was so terrified of the animal then.
A few years ago, a Cornell University study discovered that elephants talk to each other. Much like whales, they talk with infrasonic sounds our human ears can barely pick up. What Joyce is trying to do is figure out what it is the elephants are saying.
A very low frequency kind of a sound. And originally, people called them tummy rumbles because they thought that it was just the noises from the digestive tract. But in fact, they're made in the larynx. And we've identified 15 different calls. And so one of them is a greeting rumble. There's a lost calf call that's a rumble. There's a let's go rumble. He's announcing where he is to other musk males, and he's also calling to females. And the females, when they hear that call, will answer with very loud rumbles.
Here, I'll show you.
Elephants have a lot in common with humans. Just as no two human fingerprints are alike, no two elephants' ears are the same. That's one way Joyce can tell them apart. Also, elephants have a lifespan similar to ours. On the average, they live to be in their late 60s. Now, if angered, 5 tons of elephant can make mincemeat out of a Land Rover. But elephants aren't instigators. Unless they're startled, they're relatively harmless. You'd think that a creature this calm would have no enemies. Well, the elephants have one enemy, man.
People come in with automatic weapons and gun down elephants just for the ivory. I would ask everyone not to buy ivory. 80% of it is from poached animals.
Without running water or electricity, Joyce lives in this simple 5-tent camp tucked in a corner of the park. Her computer runs off the car's battery, and the Talking Heads music you hear comes from solar headphones. It's rustic, it's home, and most importantly, it's near the elephants. Joyce grew up here in Kenya, where her dad was the director of the Peace Corps and later the African Wildlife Foundation. Through him, she got into the animal world, but it was on her own she chose to stay. In the last 11 years, Jezebel's family and over 50 others have become her roommates, and what's more, her friends.
I don't see that I'm really going to give up elephants ever, or at least not turn my back on them. I've gotten a lot of pleasure and out of them, and I think I owe them a lot, so whatever I can do to make the public more aware of their plight, make them see how special they are.
Joyce tells us that it's possible to have one of the Amboseli elephants named after you. All you have to do is make a donation to the African Wildlife Foundation in Massachusetts. Next up, we're rowing on the river in Connecticut.
We learned from the adventures of Huckleberry Finn that rowing down the river to homemade raft could be fun. Well, now imagine getting lots of people together and making a contest out of rowing down the river. Well, some folks in East Haddam, Connecticut did just that. In fact, they had so much fun, it would even make Mark Twain envious. New Englanders love the water. We will do anything to stay afloat.
It's like wearing a cooler on your head. It's great.
Well, this isn't exactly the America's Cup. The pride of the entire country isn't at stake here, although these people may make you believe it is. This is the Connecticut River Raft Race. For one crazy day every summer, platoons of paddlers, peddlers, and partiers come out to race. Nothing comes between these folks and the water. Nothing except maybe their homemade rafts.
Rolling on the river.
You look at the people out here, they're all having fun. This is a people's event. Are we having fun yet?
People from all walks of life have been going up the creek with a paddle for the past 13 years. And even though you won't find a chicken wire canoe here, you will discover a lot of folks footing the bill to enter the race, design and build their own rafts, and get them shipshape. Hard work through the years has made this the oldest and largest self-supporting raft race in America. And if that's not something to make you proud, what is? These merry mariners are prouder of the fact that the proceeds of this good time benefits the causes of local charities. Beyond the chaos and camaraderie today, lo and behold, some competition is springing up. Hey, what's a race without a battle, right? Now, in the cruising class, the Dragonfly and EMFS are neck and neck. But here comes Cirrhosis of the River. How do they do it?
Arm power. Manuel. Yeah, Manuel.
And let's not forget, for some rafters, it's not whether you win or lose, it's what you cook that counts.
Want a hamburger? Chicken! Chicken!
But hey, not all of these rafts were built for speed. In fact, you could outswim most of them. And that's just fine with the crew of Tic-Tac-Toe. They're having a great time running almost dead last.
What do you mean, almost?
Being behind is a blast for the Prometheus raft, and the race's oldest and largest veteran, Horrendous, even took time out to aid a lady in distress, the Ms. Moon. By the way, we found out why it's called the Ms. Moon. But, well, that's another story. You can see why this race is wild and wacky enough to attract people from all over. This is one event you'd be embarrassed to miss.
I've been waiting for this all year.
Watching is more fun. What race?
Hey, somebody wake that guy up. Now, these river folk have won some pretty big honors here today. Let's hear it for the Melonheads. They were ripe for a victory and took the Spacecraft Award. And what about the best food on board? Red Dog Saloon was really cooking for this one. And the fastest raft of them all? EB Exterminating, this year's champ. Of course, you could look at this entire event as nothing more than a giant pool party. Heck, the winners don't get a penny of prize money, but who cares? It's a flotilla of fun for everyone.
There'll be a 50th for sure. We hope you come.
Now, that's a wacky time if I've ever seen one. You know, in the past 13 years, the Connecticut River Raft Race has only been rained out once. And you can bet your booties they'll all be back again next year. Next up on PM Magazine, we'll meet a man who carves from the inside out.
This portrayal of Mark Twain reading to children is typical of most sculpture. The artist uses clay, wood, or some other material and molds the creation from the exterior. Well, the artist we're about to meet does things a little differently. He works from the inside out.
A distant planet long ago. A genetic experiment fails. A civilization dies.
That distant planet of long ago in the TV commercial was set in the mythical galaxy of Contradon, a kingdom created in blocks of acrylic by sculptor Richard Murray.
I see a place somewhere in some time or in some dimension that has it all.
Richard has been carving his cities in acrylic for more than 10 years, beginning shortly after a hitch with the U.S. Air Force, where he experienced out-of-this-world influences.
I was very much involved in UFO with the United States Air Force. I was with a special radar team, and just things have happened. You know, we've seen stuff on radar that would raise your hair on your back, you know. But I very much believe in them. I've been involved in them for 10 years.
It was those early experiences and a strong artistic drive that led Richard to develop the process of Intersculpt, internal reverse sculpture, a patented process that he alone experiences.
By the use of taking a clear, transparent, solid substance and the use of fine grinding equipment, chiseling effects, and dental surgical equipment that gets right in, and I remove what is not the city. Now, that's very confusing because I make a hole in a clear, transparent substance that gives an image. And when you see the image, that's what Contradon is.
This is a solar farm. The purpose of this is to aerate their water, grow vegetation, and actually manufacture power from the sun in these windows.
Intersculpt has taken off with the space age. Among the collectors of Richard's art are the President and Nancy Reagan, publisher Bob Guccione, and the Dean of Science Fiction, Ray Bradbury. The Smithsonian has 2 cities of Contradon in their permanent collection, and NASA's sculpture is in the Johnson Space Center in Houston. Contradon sculptures command high prices, as much as $65,000 for a desk-sized piece. Prices worthy of a master.
It's now hit a peak in its meaning for me because I'm now being honored and blessed that, you know, be it known that Intersculpt, the internal reverse sculpting process, has just been entered into the ranks of being a master.
Richard Murray, a man who views the world in another time, another place, and in a completely different dimension.
Now, I thought there was an interesting process. I really liked the sculpture, but I didn't care for the price as much.
A little too steep. Hey, something that's fun, let us mention one more time, is reading. Now, kids, if you get a chance, stop by your public library with your parents, pick up a good book, and learn something. Now, coming up tomorrow night in PM Magazine, we'll meet some of the top contenders for Miss America.
They're talented, beautiful, and hopeful. Tomorrow on PM Magazine, join us backstage at the Miss America contest to see how these beauties get ready for the big night and see if you can pick the next winner.
And Japan is 6,000 miles away, but for these Connecticut teenagers, it's home. See how they get a taste of what Japan life is really like.
We'll also be kicking off Japan Week, so I hope you'll be able to join us.
It'll be a lot of fun. See you tomorrow night in PM Magazine.
Good night.